right, welcome back to another edition of Hey Fightin Podcast, joined today by LSU defensive line coach Andre Carter. Coach, thank you for being here today. I know you have some travel plans. So appreciate you sticking around to do this with us.
Yeah, thanks for holding me back, man. I appreciate it.
It's Gabe's fault. Blame Gabe. It's not me. So obviously new in town. I guess really for a couple months now, but First year here at LSU. Just kind of give me the scoop on what it's been like the last couple months. Getting here, getting through spring, getting your feet settled, and getting to know the team.
Oh, it's been great. I mean, obviously with a new coach, new environment, you always try to get a lay of the land, and then everything starts up, up top from learning about Austin Thomas and his history, just LSU athletics. Coach Orgeron, obviously, we had history in the past, but then just the dynamics of LSU, from the facility, the people that upkeep it, and then obviously the players. So, but overall, I've loved it. It's been a great journey for me. Obviously, there's a lot of history here. When you walk around, especially in our facility, you see the athletic accolades from all SEC, All Americans. It's great to be a part of something special.
Speaking of other sports, I saw the video the other day where Coach Mulkey was doing her tour.
Oh, yes.
And got down in a three-point stance. Looked like she was about to take you on.
Oh, I love it. I love it. She's a fiery personality, and hey, she's a great fit for LSU. So expecting big things. I'm excited for her.
Yeah, it's been great getting to know her. Let's start at the beginning. How and why did you get into coaching? I know you come from a coaching family with your father, but a lot of guys, they go play at the next level and they're happy with what they've done there, and they want to put the game behind them. What made you want to stick around and go into coaching?
Well, I just basically fell into it. Even as a player, and one of my mentors, Terrell Williams, who's the D-line coach at Tennessee Titans, he always told me, he's like, "You're going to be a coach one day." And I was like, I don't know. You always try to see what's kind of out there, but I'm passionate about the game. I'm passionate about just giving back to what was given to me and what wasn't given to me. I always tell the story that, as a D-line coach in the NFL, 13 years, I've had basically, 8-9 position coaches. So I had 8-9 guys tell me 8-9 different things. Some were good and some were like, okay, I'll take it and run with it. And, but overall, as far as a coach, the main thing is you want to be in the players' lives, consistently. And it doesn't necessarily have to be on the field. It's also off the field well. And I'm all about building relationships, but I also want to help them grow. And that's the joy of being a true position coach.
With your father having been a coach for such a long time, and then now you getting into your career in the last few years, what did you pick up from him as you got into your own kind of coaching skin? And then where have you gone in a different direction, maybe added something else of your own to the table?
Well, I think in general, one, you learn from people that have done it for a long time. So obviously my dad's been in for almost 30-something years. But then I also worked with other coaches, Joe Vitt, who was part of the New Orleans Saints, and he made his run in Seattle. I'm always big into just talking to coaches that had obviously a history of working, call it, NFL coaching history, the NFL lineage. Those are the coaches that last a long time and understand the game. And it's so much about, the technique and scheme, but just the functionality of how building a winning organization. Those are the guys that you really want to listen to, because obviously as a coach, I have goals and aspirations to just learn the game and, maybe be a DC if that comes. But also, you never want to be stagnant, just kind of doing the same things repetitively. You always want to continue to grow. Frank Bush, who's now the linebacker coach over at Atlanta, he's been a big mentor for me. He's always pushed me to just continue to learn the game. Take one thing at a time and learn something new every day. So that's always been good for me.
So as I was doing prep for this, doing some reading on you, is it true that you didn't start playing football until the 10th grade?
Yes.
What was the reasoning behiing that approach?
My dad was like, there's no need to bang up my body at an early age. He was just old school like that. And obviously, he played in a different era, in the 70s and the 80s, when it was, post and chop and, cut blocks and, punching somebody when they're on the ground. I mean, it was a dirty business. So, one thing about him was, and every parent has a certain philosophy, but you always say, you want me to grow into my body, do other sports. And when it was time, it was ready. Obviously I just wasn't in a situation playing in the 9th grade. So played in the 10th grade and, but it worked out. But prior to that, I did track, I did basketball, I did tennis, I did Taekwondo. I did other sports to just kind of continue to keep me active, and all those sports basically, just learning from it from functionality standpoint, transition to football. So it was great for me.
So I wanted to ask you about that specifically, the Taekwondo and the tennis and that approach. And I was reading a book recently, and it's slipping my mind, but it's basically about generalists versus specialists,
right?
And people who do a lot of things. And I remember the first chapter talks about Roger Federer, great tennis player who played every sport growing up, right? And then they were contrasting him with Tiger Woods, who basically just played golf growing up, and how different approaches can work for different people, but in general, doing a lot of different things can help develop you athletically and in a different way. So how instructive was it for you to do Taekwondo and do tennis and not be a specialist early so that you could develop so many different skills, and how did that apply to your career?
Well, I think, that goes with the topic of being a multi-sport athlete. And I think those that have been successful in the transition to just to one sport, they've had a history of playing multiple sports, as far as just the quick twitch muscles, the eye-hand coordination. So for me, doing Taekwondo, it really helped me with eye-hand coordination, understanding blocks, understand how to defend off of blocks, pass rush. Those things have been, helped cater to my career. My son, and we'll see how he goes. I mean, he ended up playing soccer for an extended period of time, 4 or 5 years, but he ended up transitioning to football. But I kind of see how soccer has helped him just from cutting, change of direction, explosiveness, quick twitch. So those things are important. I think Odell Beckham was another big soccer player and ended up transitioning. So those things are important. Yeah, it's really helped us out.
How old is your son?
My son's 13.
Okay, so he's. I've heard a story about your son. He's a big Emily Dixon fan. Emily Dixon.
You know what? Sadly, I do not know. He'll probably kick myself in the butt for not knowing.
Emily's one of our reporters over at in the other building across the street. Okay, and she does all the videos that are on YouTube.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So she said she saw him one day and he ran up to her and was like, "Are you Emily Dixon?"
Oh,
he was
wow,
really, really
that's
excited.
funny. Oh my gosh, that's a trip.
The point of the story being that he seems like a real energetic kid. I gotta imagine being thrown into a locker room, and I know he's been in other locker rooms, but being at LSU and being around this family's got to have been special for him.
Oh, he loves it. Well, my son, ever since he could walk, I always brought him to the locker room, and I was very fortunate. I said, when he was born, I said, I'm going to play as long as possible so he can remember. And he remembered towards the end of my career playing for the Patriots. And then once I started transitioning to coaching, had join me in the join the players in the locker room with Miami Dolphins, and Sean Jefferson, who was a wide receiver coach at the time. He would do drill work with the wide receivers during training camp.
That's awesome.
So, but he was just a natural. Yeah. It was just that atmosphere. So he's definitely all ball. He's actually a lot more all ball than I was at his age. Yeah. Just from a football IQ standpoint. For me, I just knew, hey, put my hand in the dirt and go. Yeah. But for him, he's very cerebral. Has an idea of the game. I mean, he can draw formations and all that stuff. I never did that stuff.
Yeah, Quincy Carter, right?
Quincy Carter. Yeah.
That's a name that we all know here at LSU, unfortunately, because there's a guy at Georgia named Quincy Carter.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we do have a couple questions here in the chat. I want to get to those. Leslie Harrington asks, "What's the one thing you tell your players they have to do to be successful?" That's a broad question, but it's a good question. What do you think maybe is the one primary characteristic can make a player great?
Well, I think it's just, obviously, we always preach hard work. All right. And hard work is that's kind of like, is very broad, but what does entail a hard work? Well, it's just the little things. And one thing I've influenced my players, especially, because I'm responsible for them. I always say this: your success is your success because you care, but your failures are my failures because I didn't push you hard enough. That's always been my Love philosophy. But one thing I said this is just accountability. Being early, not being on time. That's just always been my staple as far as foundation of being a pro. The work ethic aspect of doing more. All right, if you feel like your body is stiff, well, now you got to be more flexible. So it all turns into the training room. You feel like you're weak, hey, make sure you have a good functional program to where you can build your strength. The extra conditioning aspect of it. What are you doing? Are you running to the ball? So those things are great. But also just from a football IQ standpoint, like what are you learning in the classroom? Because defensive line in general it's a fun position because we all can say all you got to do is put your hand on the dirt and hit a dude in the mouth. But at the same time, it's like, what can you learn from the offense? The offense tells a story, whether it's formations, when it comes to hand placement, when it comes to pre-snap reads. How can you be more functional prior to the snap? All right, is maximizing the play before the play actually starts. So those things are always important.
Love that. We'll get to another fan question here in a second. I do want to ask you about the room, though, because you bring back so much experience on the defensive line and now so much depth with incoming guys and guys returning. Just give me an overview of that room that you've taken over, and I know Coach O's big coaching defensive line too, but that being your room and your guys, a lot of talent in there, a lot of experience. What's sort of your overview of those guys and what they did this spring?
Well, I'll tell you what. One thing about talent, and I've always been a believer in this. Talent doesn't mean anything if you guys don't play. Guys don't play cohesively as one. We would say we can't have independent contractors. And I get it. Everybody has goals and aspirations. I had goals and aspirations, but you're only as good as the man next to you. So one thing I encourage my guys is just, hey, we got to continue to push ourselves. Hey, when one is tired, somebody has to pick up the slack. That's just overall, philosophy is just playing defense. But also this, I've always encouraged the seniors, especially about potentially I got 5 guys that are leaving, that make a staple for yourself and here at LSU, finish strong. There's obviously, if you walk in the Demon Salon room, there's a kind of like a plaque of all SEC honors, things of that nature, and obviously you have a plaque with guys that got drafted. But I say, you're always going to be remembered here at LSU if you want to be a part of those honors. Yep. I think that's a great opportunity. It's a privilege and an honor to be on those walls. So for the seniors that are here, hey, this is your last time to just really earn your mark and make your mark. So that's something that I've encouraged.
For sure, and no shortage of talent in there and depth. And you can look at the depth chart almost 3 deep and look at guys that are ready to step up and play. I want to get to a couple more fan questions here. One from Lucien Laborde. What attributes do you value most highly when recruiting future players for the LSU defensive line? So you add in, coming from the NFL to the college ranks, you add in the recruiting element. What do you look for in a young guy? What are the characteristics you're looking for, maybe both physically and mentally?
Well, from a performance standpoint, I always say this. When I'm watching film, I say his film has to jump out on tape. He has to jump on tape. What does that mean? Well, burst off the ball. When the ball is snapped, is he the first one off the line of scrimmage? Is he physical? I mean, the game of football is defined through physicality. Does he refuse to be blocked? Energy. We always preach energy. Does he bring his own juice? When he makes a play, do you see fire? Those things are always important, especially here in the SEC, because every game, Gotcha always, I talk to Gotcha every now and then. He said every game is just as important as the next. There's no difference than NFL Sunday. Yep. So those things stand out. Explosiveness, power. We always talk about knockback. Does he versus 1-on-1 versus run? Does he knock the opponent back 1.5 2 yards? I mean those are aggressive traits, but they're great traits because at the end of the day, that's what you need.
Very specific question here from anonymous attendee. Where do you foresee the defensive line in stopping the run?
Oh, good question. I always say this. I always had this saying. This was an old, military term. The easiest day was yesterday, and it basically means this. We've had some good days. We had some days we got to improve. Overall, from our practice and how we function, we had some great days. But like I said, we haven't started training camp yet. All right, and so I just always take it day by day. And you got to take it day by day. You can't be too high, you can't be too low. But you are aware of what we can be. But it's my job to continue to push my guys on the level that probably they've never seen. So that's how I look at the game, especially when it comes to the run game.
We'll get back to football in a second. I want to get away from it just a little bit. Similar setup to a question I asked Durante, but when you guys get hired, when anyone new in the athletic department gets hired, they send out a welcome to LSU email.
Oh, yes.
It's got like a little Q&A.
Oh, yes.
Has some information. So I was doing my homework on you, and it said one of the things you're passionate about is languages.
Yes,
is that correct? How many languages can you speak?
I did French when I was younger, and then I went to Morocco a few years ago with my family, and Morocco is heavily influenced in French and Arabic. My wife decided to do Arabic, and I was like, well, you got that one, player. And then I did French. So I'm back on my French. So I got this, when I have time that evening, I do Duolingo.
Okay, awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, French is a good language, in the state of Louisiana.
I know.
You go to some of these Cajun restaurants, know what you're getting on the menu.
I know. Yeah, I'm trying. It's coming along. What it is just obviously with any language, it's just practice with through application. But when you don't know anybody else speaks it, it's tough.
Sure.
So I can read it. But as far as like having a conversation, it's probably not that good.
Yeah.
But my reading is probably now elementary school level.
That's all right. I mean, that's what these phones are for. Now they can interpret everything, so we don't have to learn them. What do you like about the language learning process? Is it just Is it relaxing for you?
Yeah, it's relaxing. It's stimulating. It challenges yourself. I've always liked the challenge, and I like, for me, I like languages and then number puzzles. So I'm a big Sudoku guy.
Okay,
I'm a big Sudoku guy.
Yeah, like how many are we doing a day?
I try to do one. I try to knock one out, but what I do is I sit on the expert level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then there's another one that's called Ken. So it's basically like Sudoku, and then but like multiplication or adding. It's on a whole nother level.
Can I offer a suggestion?
Sure.
Rubik's Cube. Have you ever messed with a Rubik's Cube?
No, I tossed that one in the trash.
Okay, so I did too. But the other day I found one, and I was like, I'm gonna see if I can learn this thing.
Yeah.
So me and one of the other guys that works in communications, Matt Tornquist, he's our video guy.
Right.
We started messing with it, and it's like addicting. It's the same thing. It gets that part of your brain going.
Right.
And like, I mean, you just watch a YouTube video and figure out. How to
Well,
do
see
it.
the guys with the blindfold on and do it. I'm like, okay, that's
a different level. I'm not getting to that level, but in about a minute and a half, get it done. It's kind of relaxing but stimulating at the same time. So.
Did you see the one video with that rapper Logic where he was rapping, freestyling
while he was
blindfolding? But I remember seeing it and doing the Rubik's Cube, and it was like it was nothing.
I've seen one with him not blindfolded. As just regular. But that was actually one of the videos I was like, man, I need to learn how to do that.
That's pretty good.
If this guy can do it while he's freestyling, I can do it while I'm sitting at my desk, like procrastinating. I should be able
to. Totally two separate minds, man. It's on a whole nother level.
One more non-football question. We'll get back to it. Piano. You grew up playing piano.
I did.
Piano lessons. You still mess with it at all?
Every now and then. I have a little baby grand on the piano, but it's just you dabble here and dabble there. That's my mom. My mom put me onto that stuff, and this is, I think it's kind of like I don't know. Piano is definitely an art form, but it was just something that I picked up and loved, and I had big hands. So what can you do?
Cover a lot of territory.
Two octaves. And then with football, with all the hitting I did, the stretching my thumb ligaments, and my fingers stretched out a little bit more.
Yeah, about to say
all the dislocations and all that stuff. So
I'm gonna put you on the spot here. See how well you know your position room.
Okay.
Who's the musician in your room?
Oh, Joe Evans.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Have you seen him perform?
I have not. Now, correct me wrong. Does he play the drums?
I think he plays piano.
Okay, piano.
I think he does piano.
All right, so shame on me. But I know he plays the music. He's a musician.
He probably plays the drums too. He's super talented. He sings too. Have you heard
him
sing?
Go. No, I heard he sings too. Okay. I heard he can sing.
So I'm just going to tease everyone listening and watching a little bit that there might be a LSU Tigers TikTok coming out soon.
There you go. Hey, let's do it.
Joe Evans. So
there you go.
Really talented guy. But now that I've brought up an individual, I do want to talk about a few of the guys in that room. And we don't have to single out individuals, but maybe just the different types of skill set you have there. And LSU a couple years ago was in the 3-4, and now we're kind of in that base 4-3. So when you look at those guys, who are the guys that you plug in the middle and they're your run stoppers? Who are the guys that get after the quarterback? What's the skill set in that room? Because you got a lot of guys.
Man, it's all over the board, and it's good to have competition, because when it comes to practice or game planning, the worst thing you want to do is hold guys back, or some guys are getting more reps than others, but it's actually a good problem to have, because guys are so talented. From the inside, I mean, you look at Joe Evans, Neil Farrell, and Glenn Logan. Those guys have just stood out in the run. Joe shows a lot of versatility. Obviously, he played center last year, but when you see a guy like that played center last year, but then comes back to D-line, he's very cerebral but very physical. So he has an understanding of the game. He's a guy that creates variations of packages if you need them. But he's just anything that that comes up, he's like, yes sir, I'm good.
For sure.
From there, I'm very happy to have obviously our big guys back. With Neil and Glenn, and they bring a lot of violence, good point of attack on the inside of the run. Mason Smith, young guy. I mean, you always forget he's super young, but he has an upside. He'll continue once he continues to grow into his body from a physical standpoint. He'll stand out. Obviously Jay Roy, quick twitch, be able to take the up and unders in the passing game. He's a guy to look out for. And then Jacoby Guillory, just a big, stout, monster run stuffer. So like I said, all those guys inside have been very good. I'm very proud as far as their development. Because, you can, like I said, it's all about packages. And obviously in the SEC, it's all about depth. You got to have depth, especially the big man. I'm telling big men are like unicorns. If you don't have one, you better find one because they're hard to find.
Especially when you're playing two of them in the middle.
Exactly.
Who are the guys on the edge? BJ obviously put a lot on tape last year.
Yes,
getting after the quarterback. Who are some of those guys on the edge that can get after the quarterback?
Well, I'm excited for I'm glad Andre Anthony's back. He'll obviously he's has high expectations for himself, so he provides just definitely leadership, but then just great work ethic. I mean, he's a workout machine. He does a lot of extra stuff outside of football from a boxing standpoint, running, conditioning. He's always on point. I'm excited, I know this will be his last year, but Ali, Ali's just a good, solid human being.
Yeah, great
solid human being. When I first met him, through the interview process, I looked at him, and I think he was looking at me because we realized we had pretty much the same arm length. I was like, all right, we're good, man. I got you. I see you. But Ali, and just knowing his history, just where he came from and how he came to LSU, we're excited about him. And, I said, especially with defensive linemen, you got to have length. Length is key. So with Landon Jackson had been nicked up, but continued to be back. Webb, still figuring them out. Those are the young guys. Eric Taylor's still young, still trying to figure it out. But overall, I mean, we're pretty deep, and I'm very excited for our guys. And then actually Sony, Sony. So I'm very proud of Sony. Sony actually
great spring game.
Great spring game. He actually transitioned to linebacker. Hey, you get a feel for it. But but unfortunately we were a little bit nicked up in spring. Ended up coming back and actually did great. He actually did great. And so he's a guy that I really depend on, because he's going to give it all he has, So it's been good. It's been good. Great guys in the room.
What's your relationship with Durante? Y'all go back before LSU, right?
Yes. So I worked with him when I was assistant D-line coach for the Miami Dolphins. So we have always stayed in touch, and he's just been a great mentor for me, and just how he sees the game, and pass rush and coverage come hand in hand. So. But every time he talks about a DN dropping, I say, "Hey man, don't screw us over, man." So, that's a D-line joke.
Yeah, let us put our hand in the dirt and get after that quarterback.
That's it. But no, I'm just honored to just work with him, and obviously, just this is a big year for him, a big year for all of us. But with the coaching staff that we have, obviously we all share our experiences and share knowledge, but we talk about it. That's how you create a winning culture.
I'll let you get out of here on this because I know you want to hit the road and I
know that's okay.
That's all right. No, that's okay, man. If you want
it's only a 6-hour drive, dude. It's only a 6-hour drive.
I'll let you in on this. Just your spring game takeaways and what you saw from the defense and your guys at defensive line. Got a few sacks. The spring game sacks where you just got to tag the quarterback.
Tag the quarterback. No, I mean I think overall it's a step in the right direction. I praise my guys because I understand. The scheme from last year. And I always tell my guys this. I said, when you're in a system, it's a different system year to year. It's just hard to find identity. And not identity not only as a team, but just identity within yourself. But I've always told them just at the end of the day, trust the process, but play hard. As long as you play hard and just do the things we ask for you to do, the rest will take care of itself. And so it's definitely leaning towards a positive. But now, hey, we have May, we got June, July. I mean, that's the time to really harden your bodies. Focus on the cut-ups that we give you. Understand the scheme. Understand yourself. Then once camp comes, it's time to rock and roll. And so every day is always important as the next. But I was very proud of as far as our development and what we can become.
Did you want to get the pads on at some point? I mean, you look like you could still go out there and make some have it.
As I tell him, I feel fit. Like I said, I talk about my knee. Old Betty here, she ain't used to what she used to be. So I'm good. I'm good.
That's where it goes.
That's where it goes. Yeah. All that
muscles
stuff.
Are still good.
Muscles are still good. I still stay active as much as I can. But no, I'm good. I just turned 42, so I'm hanging in there. I live through my guys.
What's the preferred method of exercise these days?
A lot of core, treadmill. Just gotta stay moving. Stay moving.
Gotcha.
Bar weight. That's it. I don't do those 325-pound power cleans.
We're going lightweight.
Going lightweight, high rep. That's it. Eat right.
All right, Coach. Appreciate your time. I'll let you get on the road.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Hey, man, it's only a 6-hour drive, man. We're good.
Hey, enjoy the drive. I have something to listen. You can listen back to this if you want.
All right, appreciate it. All right, guys. Take care.
Thank y'all for tuning in. Thanks for asking questions. See y'all next time.